All right, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. If you are new, this is your first time coming, I'm going to just do a quick little review of some stuff that we shared on Saturday. We had a pretty good turnout on Saturday. I want to say we had about 12 students, 11, somewhere around in there. And what we'll do is record our sessions. Those are put on our Eventbrite page. Everything that we've done so far has already been uploaded. So if you're here and you've missed one of the prior sessions, you can just go there and listen to it. And I also emailed out the PowerPoints, the PDFs of the PowerPoints rather, from all of our sessions. This again is a part of our STEM activation series. We also have some other activities happening. ACE tutoring is going to be on Wednesday night only this week. That's for grades K through 12. And it typically happens on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 6 to 7:30. Again, this is just a short sprint, so that only has a few more weeks left. If you haven't attended and you're interested, Wednesday will be a good night to come. We also will be kicking out the matriculators by the end of this month for grades 9 through 12 in college readiness preparation. And this is our team, everyone that has contributed to helping us prepare. We have volunteers. Some are on the call tonight. Everybody is not here every night, every session, but they are definitely helping us in the background. And if you are here for the first time, let me just check the participants list. We want to make sure we get your information in the survey. We do have a survey that helps us understand like what we need to, focus on for you. So I'm just checking. I think everybody here has already done it, so we should be good. Okay. Our NSBE mission, that's what this camp is helping us fulfill, to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. So we're preparing you for that. And our NSBE pipeline that we are focusing on with this camp is K through 12, NSBE Junior. We also have some collegiates who are leveraging this experience to grow and learn more about data science, and some professionals as well. Our agenda for tonight, we do have a Collins Aerospace guest speaker. I do see someone, maybe, is that you, Mr. Gray, is what I'm seeing here? Grady? Are you from Collins
Yes,
Aerospace? Okay,
yes,
great.
correct.
Wonderful. And then we're gonna have a little bit of a review of some of the things we did on Saturday. It's kind of continuation from there. And then we will wrap up by 8 o'clock. So with that, I am going to ask Mr. Grady if he would introduce himself and take about 10 minutes to talk to us about Collins Aerospace. And if you have something you want to share on the screen, Mr. Grady, you can. If not, and you just want to speak freely, that's okay as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, let me get set up so I can actually share something with
Okay.
everyone.
All right. And while he's doing that, welcome everybody. Just wanted to kind of say we had a really good session on Saturday. We're going to continue that, going over our data sets and understanding how to navigate them and search them. And I'll get some breakout rooms set up here in a little bit. But I'm glad that we have Mr. Grady here tonight, and also Mr. Winstead. Mr. John Winstead works at Collins Aerospace. So I'll see if John, would you like to say anything before Mr. Grady comes up?
No, I'll let him do a little brief intro, and then he does have a small presentation he wants to go over to talk about some of the ways that we use data at Collins Aerospace. So I just give him a few minutes to get set up, and we should be good to go.
Okay. And I guess for the good of the audience here, tell us what you do at Collins Aerospace.
Oh, sure. So my name is Jonathan Winstead. For those who don't know me, I'm a principal system engineer at Collins Aerospace. So my job entails integrating systems that we design for aviation, meaning like aircraft and so forth. But on my side job, I guess you'd call it, is I'm also a data analysis engineer. I'm currently in school for data analytics, so I've gotten into the case of analyzing data for my company. And some of the skills that I've been utilizing that we're going to talk about in this camp is the Python programming language, and some of the utilities can be found in that programming language. Another language that I've been using at my job is called SQL or SQL. It's a way of looking up data and finding data within data sets. So because we generate so much data at Collins Aerospace, I wanted to go back to school so I become aware of how to best manage and collect that data and make use of that data. So that's how I got into this atmosphere of data science. I have a background in mechanical engineering, so my background had nothing to do with that originally, but I felt the need to get into the space because that's where our company is moving towards. Using big data with AI and machine learning. So I just want to get us ahead of the curve.
Excellent. And also, tell us what Collins Aerospace does. I do have a web page up, and I can bring that up if
Yeah,
you
so
get ready,
we
Mr. Grady.
basically, yeah, we do so much. But primarily the division that I work with is Collins Aerospace is under avionics. And what
Mm-hmm.
we do is we design, and Cedric actually is from a different division of Collins. In fire protection system, we develop fire protection system for aircraft, for trains, for military ground vehicles, meaning like smoke detectors, fire detectors, overheat detectors, fire extinguishers. That's what we do with FPS. Cedric happens to be from my interiors division where we do seating and the things where the flight attendants go and bring you prepare your meals like the galleys. So his division creates the interiors that go inside the aircraft, while mine does the fire protection system that go around the aircraft. So pretty diverse company. That's just a small subset of what we do. We basically have systems from the tip of the aircraft to the tail of the aircraft. They're all over. So I won't go into detail with all those product streams, but we do quite a bit on aircraft.
All right. And whenever you get ready, Mr. Grady, you can just grab the screen
Okay.
share, but I'll just put this up here so the students can see a little bit more about what Mr. Winstead just mentioned.
Yeah, you can see all this. So a big thing there is electrified aircrafts. Because traditional aircrafts are composed of wires and mechanical gears and linkages. What the wave of the future is everything going to electrical wires, which are controlling the different control features of the aircraft. So that's a new thing because of the weight savings and because it's easier to install and design. So that's what the wave of the future is, electrified aircraft.
Okay. And here are the different industries that you
Yes, you can see all
touched
those
on.
industries. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, very interesting.
And I was interested in becoming a part of Collins Aerospace because I used to work for the Boeing company, which we designed in one part of Boeing. We designed the helicopter, the Chinook helicopter. You may have seen the CH-47. And then at that time, Collins was a supplier to Boeing, so that's how I became aware of Collins. It went by another name at the time, but for all respect, it's Collins Aerospace. So I was like, oh, that seems like a cool company that supplies all this great product to Boeing. Maybe I should look at them. So I made a transition from the Boeing company to Collins Aerospace, and here I am.
Okay. Now, are you still associated with United Technologies or no?
Well, United Technology is no longer this. We've changed names over the years. We're now called Collins Aerospace. We went through a couple of names.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yes, so the company that used to be known as United Technology is now Collins Aerospace, with the mothership being Raytheon Technology. So we've
Okay,
merged and acquired companies over the last 5 or 6 years. So we've changed names quite a bit.
gotcha.
Jonathan, did you say the mothership company?
Yeah,
I
RTX.
like
Yeah,
that.
Raytheon
I like
Technology.
that.
I didn't. Yeah,
The
I didn't
mothership
call.
company.
Yeah. The call name is RTX, and it's called Raytheon Technology. And we have and reason why we go by RTX now because we have a subdivision which is called Raytheon. So in order to confuse the masses, the parent company is called RTX with the sub division called Raytheon, and they
Raytheon.
do missile defense and intelligence services. So the three arms are RTX. Just some there is Collins Aerospace, which is what I'm part of, and Cedric's part of. Then
Yep.
there's Pratt and Whitney. They develop engines for both commercial and military aircraft. And then there's Raytheon, which does
Okay.
missile defense and intelligence space systems. So
All right. I
quite a
see him
big
over at the
company.
top.
Yeah, it's quite a big company. Yeah, so we do quite a bit. So
Okay. I interned with Pratt and Whitney.
yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yes, that
Oh,
used to be under what used to be called the old United Technologies.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we've merged and changed over the years, and some of those companies that were under United Technology now exist. They just call something different. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
like Collins Aerospace. Before we got our new name, we used to be called United Technology Aerospace System, UTAS for short. So
Got it.
okay.
Okay.
it was interesting because sometimes we meet with the customer and they were like, "Well, what company do you work for?" And then they have to go through that diatribe of, "Well, here's what we are now. Here's what we used to be." So,
Gotcha. Okay.
all right,
All
Cedric,
right.
we are ready when you are, buddy.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Yes, yep.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Okay, so let me quickly introduce myself. I'll try to be brief. So, yeah, so again, my name is Cedric Grady. I'm a program manager at Collins Aerospace, working within the interior systems division. So more specifically, we're the group that actually designs and produces airplane seats. So on a lot of the commercial aircraft that everyone flies on. So the typical customers would be like Delta Airlines or Southwest Airlines, JetBlue, etc. So I have over 20 years of experience in automotive and aerospace combined, and I spent the majority of my time either working on continuous improvement projects or even customer facing programs. And my background is in engineering, so I have my bachelor's degree. I got that from Purdue University. I have a master's degree from Western Carolina University in project management, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA at Wake Forest. I'm originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and right now I live just outside of Greensboro and work. My office is based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Okay, so we're gonna, with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and dive into this presentation. And you can even see in the title in the lower left-hand corner, it says Collins Aerospace and RTX Business. Again, that's our new branding now. And I'm going to actually go through a real-life application of data analytics. And this is something that's actually still ongoing. All right, so before I do that, I just want to throw up a quote that I just saw this recently. It says, success in engineering projects isn't defined by the absence of problems, but by the way we respond to them, from Simon Sinek. So again, a lot of engineering and working with data, it involves a team. So we're constantly working, as a team in a team environment. So definitely keep that in mind as I go through the next slide. Okay, so let me start with a brief background. First, this focus is going to be on spare parts order process. So like I mentioned before, the group that I work in, or actually the division that I work in, we provide airplane seats, so the seats that passengers sit in. And like I mentioned before, our customers can be like Delta Airlines or Southwest, Air Canada. And so in the aftermarket division, those customers, they will order parts to continue to maintain the seat. So for example, we can have seats in an airplane that's been flying, back and forth across the country for, 5 or more years or 10 or more years. And, every so often, some of the components may need to be replaced, such as maybe a cushion, a seat cushion, or armrest. And so when that happens, the customers, they will place an order through a customer service representative at Collins Aerospace and say, hey, I need to order a particular quantity of this particular part. And I'd like to have the parts by such and such date. Because what happens is that we need to schedule when they can take that airplane out of service so they can actually do the maintenance and they can, for example, replace the seat cushion. And so when they contact our customer service representative, going over here to the right side, what the representative would do is they will log the order. They will check inventory or check with our suppliers, get our supply chain people involved, and they will determine when we will have the parts available to actually ship to the customers, and we'll provide that date. But there are cases when we're not able to provide a part that the customer is requesting, that they want to order. And it could be several different reasons. Maybe, like I mentioned, a part that's probably, the seat is 10 years old, and maybe that particular part of the seat has been obsoleted. Maybe the supplier doesn't make that anymore. Maybe that part is not approved anymore. Maybe the material is not acceptable, or maybe the supplier went out of business. So in that case, the CSR or customer service representative will typically get engineering involved and say, hey, engineering, we have this particular design that we've delivered to the customer in the past, but now we can't order that particular part, design that particular way. Please help. So we get a lot of cases like that, and keep in mind, while that's happening, this customer is still under the impression of, hey, I need my part, I need a solution, by such and such date, so I can do the repairs or the maintenance on my seats and get that airplane flying again. So I started supporting the engineering team, I want to say in June of this year. And the reason why is because we were noticing a trend. Engineering was saying, hey, look at this. Maybe this is like a weekly chart. We're saying, hey, it looks like there's more and more orders that are on hold waiting for some type of resolution from engineering. And starting to get out of control, and we need to do something about it, or else we're going to have a lot of customers upset with us. So first of all, just by tracking this data, alerted engineering to say, hey, there's something going on where there's an increase of orders that are on hold waiting for engineering to come up with a solution. Okay. So when I joined the team, first thing we wanted to do was we wanted to dissect and what we call like Pareto, the reasons why the items are on hold. So if you look at the total number of quantities on hold, I think this adds up to 48. And we want to put them in different buckets. And also actually we want to put them in buckets by complexity, like how fast can we resolve these issues? And if you notice, the ones that are classified as a complexity 1, there are 17 of them. Those, we can definitely resolve those within between 2 to 4 weeks. And the ones that are complexity 2, it may take about 2 months to resolve those. Complexity 3, those require some, major, engineering work and solutions, and that can take anywhere from 4 to 7 months to resolve it. But before we saw this data, what was happening is we were looking at those 48 items, and we were touching each one of those like little by little, just moving them just an inch at a time. But now, once we created this pie chart, we were able to look and say, hey, let's focus on these 17 and let's really knock those out and expedite those. That way we can, clear those as soon as possible. In the meantime, we know we want to keep these going because these are long-term solutions, so we don't want to lose focus on those. But that means that maybe we slow down the progression of these 8 just a little bit, so we can really knock out these 17 and have a more laser focused way of resolving these and clearing out that list. So that's the first thing that we did. And before I do that, so that's the first thing we did. But we did notice that over the next few weeks, the list was still growing. And then a question from management was like, hey, you guys have a plan to address these issues, but it looks like the list is still growing. Why is the list growing? Are you guys really getting them resolved or what? What's going on? So we said, oh, okay. Well, we are getting these resolved, but we think that they're coming in at a faster rate. So that's when we created a created versus resolved chart. So basically, this is a monthly chart that's showing the number of items that are getting added to the list, if you look at this red line, but also shows the number of items that are getting closed, if you look at this green line. So the overall trend, if you look at it, I think I started back in June, and keep in mind this was created prior to last week, so this October data is not finished yet. But if you think back from June to October, assuming this ends up over here, we are closing out and resolving more issues than what we were in the past. You see, there were even a few months where we weren't resolving any. But you also notice that in January, there were only 3 issues. In February, there were 4 new issues. Now there's anywhere from 17, 14, 12, 14 so far in October, new issues getting created. So we're showing management, hey, we are resolving these, but there are even more coming in. They're coming in at a greater rate. So of course, the next question is, okay, why are they coming in at a greater rate? Let's understand the reason for these orders going on hold, awaiting some type of action or resolution from engineering. So that's when we went into this Pareto chart where we looked at all of the items on hold and we decided to categorize them to understand why are they on hold. How come the customer service representative is not able to fulfill the order for the customer? And so we're able to look at this data and we say, hey, okay, so 23% of the orders are basically the supplier saying, hey, we're not able to provide a particular part, that we used to provide in the past. We have a request to provide, something that's equivalent to that. Okay, 30% of the reason why items are assigned to engineering. Oh, going back to here, whenever a supplier has that request, it has to go to engineering to approve that. Engineering needs to determine, hey, it's not per our original design, but yes, this would be an acceptable substitute, or no, this would not be an acceptable substitute. So that's why that comes to engineering. Here's another example to where 30% of the orders are on hold because one component or more is obsolete. Like that part is so old. Like for example, if you going back to a seat cushion example, maybe the Velcro that attaches the seat cushion to the seat structure is obsoleted. That is a true case. Even a Velcro part number is obsolete. So so the question is, now the supply needs any direction from engineering. Hey, what can we use? We don't even have a suggestion or request. You let us know what would be acceptable. So again, that example will go to engineering as well. So we decided, we're able to define all these different reasons and also understand that the common, causes of those. And that gave us more insight into the data. And just by going through that, we were able to understand and develop next steps. So one step was to provide training to suppliers. Sometimes they would ask us for a certain substitute, and they would go through an engineering channel when it doesn't even require, engineering approval. That there are certain cases where it doesn't have to go through engineering to say, yeah or nay. It can go through quality or one of the other functional teams. So we want to train the suppliers on, when an issue really needs to come to engineering to approve a substitute or some other suggestion or recommendation from the supplier. Two, now that we understand why there's additional items going on SW Hold, we're going to formulate a cross-functional team. So we're going to have a team that would include like a customer service rep to be the stay, informed, because there are liaison back to the customer. We want to have somebody from supply chain management who manages suppliers. We want them on our team. Of course, engineering, and quality, and we all want to get together, in a single meeting and start going over these issues and see if we can actually resolve those right there and there on the fly, and really focus on coming up with a quick solution so we can make sure we can get parts shipped out to the customer. And another action is, again, now that we were able to pray over the reason why items were on SW Hold, and we want to even dig a little bit deeper into the details and say, okay, we have 30% that are in the obsolescence category, and that actually increased significantly over the past few weeks, a month. Why is that? Maybe we will find out that maybe there's a particular supplier that these obsolete parts are stemming from, or maybe it's a particular family of parts that may be the culprit. And maybe we can be proactive in identifying, hey, these particular parts, may include these other parts that aren't even on the list yet. Let's be proactive in coming up with a solution for that family to have a viable substitute, and make sure that suppliers are aware that it would be acceptable, and we can fulfill orders that way. And if that includes actually, change of the designs and the bill of materials, that's something that engineering can do as well. So there's a few next steps that we can take, and all this is because we were able to use data analytics. We're able to create data and analyze it, and it gave us additional information to go and attack and address the issue and resolve problems. So I showed you that chart where that blue line was, something like a cup creeping up like this. That was actually the line for specifically our seating division. We have another division called galleys, which is typically the units that will house the ovens, and it's kind of like those trays that you see the flight attendants, go down the aisle with. Well, they have the same issue where there are items that are on hold, awaiting engineering resolution. But if you look at that list over time, this is how theirs look right now. So it's really very well maintained. As many as are getting in, engineering is able to keep up and resolve them. So this is where we want to get for the seating team as well. This is what success will look like. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Any questions?
Well, first of all, let's give Mr. Grady a round of applause, thanking him for coming out tonight and giving us a real life example of how you're using data and what that looks like. I do see a question from a couple of see a few. I think they're giving you applause. Okay. I love the question. They're giving you applause. I see some reactions. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions? Any questions for Mr. Grady? If you want to ask a question, you can just come off on mute and ask that. I do have a question about how much time is passing. I saw that Pareto that you had up there. Like, how long do those items stay, I guess, open before they get resolved?
Oh, so that varies. It varies a lot. So yeah, some items. So and that really helped for us to categorize those by level of complexity.
Okay.
So we have some items, some orders where it may stay open for it may take about maybe a month to resolve. Some would take maybe a couple of weeks to resolve.
Okay.
Others would take some of them have been open for a little over a year.
Okay.
Now keep
Okay.
in mind that sometimes when a customer places an order, they may not need it right away. They may be proactive themselves and say, hey, I'm going to order this part and I won't need it until, next year in August of 2024. But in the meantime, though, we're proactively going through and they're ordering a part. It's typically an assembly. We want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure we engage our suppliers so they can engage their suppliers because they're going to contact somebody and say, hey, I need this Velcro part or I need this screw. I need all of this so I can make this full assembly to give that to Collins so they can give it to the airline customer. So we always start that as soon as the order comes in. And, like I said, a lot of times the customer may not need it right away. There are cases where they do need it right away and we're not able to fulfill it. And it's not a good feeling, if you can't satisfy the customer. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we want to get better at that and faster. And we want to make sure that we set their expectations because it's a lot easier for the customer to accept it if you tell them, hey, it's going to require 6 months because of this particular reason, but we'll have that part, ready to ship to you on April 30th
Okay.
versus to tell them, oh yeah, we'll have that by, February the 1st. And then February 1st passed and we're like, oh, sorry, it looks like it's going to be March the 10th. Oh, okay. No, it's going to be April 30th. So you don't want you don't want to keep sliding date. That's when they're going to get really upset. You want to analyze the solution and understand what's going to be required to get that solution and tell the customer as soon as possible so that they can start planning accordingly. And it goes over a lot more smoother if you're not able to meet their expectations or the date that they requested.
Okay. All right. And one final thing. What
Mhm.
type of data are you using? Qualitative, quantitative? Like those are the things that the class has been talking about.
Oh yeah. So this is more it's probably a little bit of both, but mostly it's quantitative data that we're using. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit of both because, and that's what's going to come out of this. For example, the understanding the the or dividing out the reasons why items are on SW hold.
Okay.
Um, Again, we have to really dig into understanding the the problems that the customer sales representative is having for each particular one. They'll typically type up a narrative, and
Okay.
so we're going through and analyzing that, and
And have to
they're regrouping them in the different categories.
by themes. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And when we have our final expo, I'll ask John to let you know in case you're available and you want to come out.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Jonathan, for inviting me. Thanks to the RTP chapter of NASB for having me today. Thanks to the Trends Data Science Camp participants. I think this would be a great experience for you. And it's my pleasure to be here today.
Wonderful. And I think someone is saying have a great day, Mr. Grady. They put that in the chat.
Okay. Oh, thanks. You too. Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right. Have a good one. Thank you for
Okay.
coming.
Thanks.
Hmm.
Hmm. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Okay. So with that, we are going to just kind of go ahead and dive into where we left off on Saturday. You guys did a really good job in grasping the content and just kind of diving right in on your data sets. I know we were supposed to talk about pivot tables. Why don't we, I'll find out. John, do you want to do that? What do you think we should do? We have probably about 20 minutes. Should we dive into
Yeah, I think we
getting
probably
back to
should
the
yeah, do the pivot tables because should be pretty straightforward and quickly to go over. Yep.
okay. All
I'm
right.
assuming Kaylin and Taylor are ready.
Taylor, I think. Okay. All right. So why don't we go back to that? However you all want to do it. If Taylor, if you want to kick off with that example that you did with Sage and the cats and the different personalities of the cats and how you did a pivot to pull that data in, then I think Kaylin had some information as well.
Yeah, so actually I found another data set because I kind of want to show the versatility of
Sure.
pivot tables.
Go right ahead.
So let me share my screen.
All right. I don't know if everybody know what a pivot table is, but Taylor can kind of explain to us how she got to this point and then what it does.
Yeah, so I can explain a little bit about pivot tables. So when we have a table like this, there's a lot of information, and just looking at it, it's hard to understand any kind of patterns or trends or any useful information. So basically, a pivot table is just a way to summarize data in a table in a way that we can actually understand what's happening in the data set. So here I found this data set about video games actually. I don't know, you guys like playing video games, but I do. And I found this data set on Kaggle with the information about the sales of video games, along with things like the publisher, the genre, and the year it was created. And I thought this was a really good data set to kind of show what pivot tables can do. So in Excel, this is pretty straightforward. You would go to Insert, and then here under the Tables um, section here, you will click Pivot Table. And in Excel, it already recognizes this as a table format. So it automatically selects it, and then I'll just hit OK. And then now we have access to where we create the pivot table. And this is really where we can be very creative and ask all sorts of questions to get a bunch of types of information. So, for an example, let's say that I want to know what video games are being sold in North America. So, here in this box here, for the rows, I want to select the names of the video games. And then for the values, I want to sum the number of sales, and let's say in North America. So I'll pull that into the values field. And this is still a lot of data. So maybe I just want to look at the top 10 video games sold. So I can go to filter, do top 10, and now I have just the top 10 sales. And then if I want to make it even easier to read, maybe I want to order the sales from largest to smallest. So from here, I'll go to descending by the sales. And here at the top, it tells me that Wii Sports seems to have the greatest number of sales in this data set. And then other titles you may recognize, like Super Mario, um, Tetris, Grand Theft Auto. So now we already have a lot of information. And then we can even go a step further and make a chart from this data table. And then we can have a visualization of this information that we just found. So, I mean, it's been a short amount of time. And even if you don't understand all of the steps, you can understand that there's a lot of information we can get really quickly just from just manipulating these fields here, the types of rows we're looking at, the values, and you can even do more filters for more specific data. So this is a really useful tool for organizing information, understanding patterns in the data in a way that's really quick and easy to understand. So I hope that was useful as just an idea of what we can do with pivot tables in Excel.
All right.
And
Thank you,
that
Taylor.
was all I had to share. Yep.
Okay. Anyone have questions for Taylor on that? Okay. All right. Caitlin, do you have anything you want to share as well on pivot tables?
No, ma'am. Taylor did an amazing job. I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. But you said you used them quite a bit in your internship?
Yes, ma'am. Especially with it was a whole lot of data. So I had, if I can remember correctly, some of the data that I pulled had like 1,000 like rows.
Gotcha.
Uh, So it's really good for if you want to narrow down what you're looking at and categorizing the data.
Okay.
Um, Also, with using the pivot table, I can't remember what it's called, but in Excel, you can do a chart. And next
Mm-hmm.
time I can do a demo if need be, but you can do a chart and if there's like too many rows, you can click down on like
Mm-hmm.
the column, like there's like a
Okay.
button once you turn it into a chart, and you can see all of the data without like scrolling down throughout the whole document. So
Gotcha.
I think
Okay. All right. So what we will do with the time we have left, I'll just share real quick and then we can go into our breakout rooms for a little bit. But this is where we left off. We had identified different groups of interest. So as an example, we wanted to look at data sets. So you went out and you searched your data sets and based on your interests, let me get that back up here for you. Based on your interests, we recognized those common interests. So those who wanted to talk about sports, they went to one room. Those who wanted to research drawings, creative arts is what I categorize it as. They went to one room, and then animal interests went to another room. So I think we should take the next maybe 20 minutes and go to your breakout rooms and go back to where you were with your data sets and see if you can get a little further with those. And then also perhaps one of the volunteers can kind of help you get into pull up a visualization or show some type of graphical representation from what you're able to do in Excel. And then what we'll do Saturday is just focus on redoing everything that you did last Saturday, but this time using Python to pull it in. So we'll just stick with Excel tonight. Does that sound feasible, John, based on the time frame?
Yep, sure does. Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. So let me get some breakout rooms going here real quick. And as I'm doing that, let's see, Devin and Brian, can you and John Sampson go to the sports room. I'm gonna get that going for you here in a minute. Let me stop sharing so I can get that going. So you all do the sports this time, and then we'll keep the other breakouts the same. So let me get the rooms up here, and you all will be able to choose your rooms. So room 1 is going to be sports. It's pop up in shortly, and then we'll get room 2 is going to be drawing, and we'll also say the arts. And then we'll have room 3 being our room for animal interests. All right. All rooms are open. So choose your rooms. You see them in the lower right corner of your screen. Laura, you can help out Kaylin. Kaylin had room 2. And if you don't have an assigned room or don't know where to go, just hang out here for a moment and we'll find one for you. And we'll go here for about 20 minutes. I will make an announcement to come back and wrap up. Jonathan, do you want to go to the animal interest room this time?
You talking Jonathan? Jonathan,
Yeah.
Dr. Tony asked you a question.
Are you able to hear me, Jonathan? I was asking Jonathan if you wanted to go to
Hello?
sports, or do you want to go to the sports again, or you want to do the animal interests?
How many people are I can do animal stage.
Okay. All right. That is in room 3. All right. Okay. And John, are you going to go over to sports?
Yep, I can bounce over there.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to share. You going to hang out right here?
Yes, I'm grading papers. So I'll be right here.
Well, you watch the main room. I'm going to bounce over to the drawing room.
I can do that. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Mhm. Just checking in to see how things are going over here.
Yes, ma'am. Things are going well.
Okay.
Afua, she's pulling up her Excel. And then Laura and I are gonna
Help her out.
direct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
And Afua, were you having trouble with your Excel or with your data set? Seems like it might have needed some cleaning.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it right now.
Okay. So Caitlin, she might need to send it to you, or either you might need to search it and try to clean it for her or see what it needs, and then make it a little easier for her to analyze.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'll swing back through. That. All right, so we're going to wrap up at this time. I just want to do a quick round table of each room and how it went. So for our sports group, who wants to discuss what you did or show us quickly on the screen what you learned tonight from the sports team?
Yeah,
I
would
can.
would one of the students be okay with sharing what we learned?
Yeah, I can show myself real quick.
Jaden, I know we had some really cool basketball data. Would you like to share briefly what we found?
My screen.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Jaden, you can go ahead, and then Nana, you can go as well.
Okay. Okay, so
All
we
right, we're
really
seeing. Yep, we're seeing it.
so we put a lot of values in because I wanted to see most of the stuff there. There's a lot of numbers, really, and we went over what to put where, and then I guess that's it.
Is there anything
Awesome.
to notice from that, Jaden? This exercise, anything, any kind of trends you recognized?
that yours don't mean that that you score more points.
Okay. All right, and it looks like you used the pivot table. Okay, thank you, Jaden. It's good to have you back. Nana?
Yeah. Okay. Can everyone see that just fine?
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so originally the data was like 100+ players, but we just selected the top 10
Okay,
through the amount of wins and like most wins to least descending down here.
okay,
And then we created a bar graph to show those wins too.
awesome. Okay. Were there any trends that you could recognize already or no? Anything stand out?
I guess it's kind of a leap between the number one wins and the rest of the group.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. How about the animal interest group? So that was Sage and Jonathan and Taylor. And good job, Jaden and Anna. Thank you for that. Good job to you both.
Yes, so for our group, last time we looked at the cat data and Sage was wanting to look at maybe other data sets. So that's kind of what we were exploring this time. We didn't solidify one yet, but that's what we were looking at.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. So we did two different animals. So I did mine on birds. So I did research on from Kaggle. It was 200 different species of birds, and within that, on the website, they also had over 12,000 images of all those 200 species of birds. And basically, what was on the website was they just categorized the birds based on their location, their attributes, and then like what what do you call it? Like what variety of birds they are, and then they also had the 12,000 separate images to like give you like a visual reference of like what the birds look like. So
Okay.
that's why I went over.
Wonderful. So you learned about different species of birds. Excellent. Sage, anything you want to share?
I found a bar graph about the total U.S. pork imports and exports from 2023 to 2023 in million pounds. So I found that.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, good job to Jonathan and Sage for getting us up to speed on the different species that you studied and what you learned. Let's give them some thanks and congratulate them, give them some shout outs for their efforts tonight. Appreciate that. Good job. Good job. All right. And then our next one is going to be Afua, Kaylin, and Laura.
So are you ready to share?
Yeah, okay. So it's not really like completely organized yet, so I don't know
That's
if
fine.
I should share my
Yeah,
screen.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and let
Okay.
us see. I mean, that's what we're doing. Like, it's not a homework assignment, so it's okay if it's not right. So we're learning.
Um,
All right, and yours was on drawings? Is that what it was on?
yeah, sorry, it's like okay.
Okay.
So it kind of shows like
Okay.
the different materials different artists used for like their drawings, like
Wow, that's
things we
nice.
had in common.
Okay.
So that's all I really got so far.
Well, that's good. This is a good start. So you can use the pivot and kind of let that help you figure out maybe a couple of different ways you want to pull this table together. But
Yeah.
right now you're able to see, I guess, the name of the artist, what their materials were. And then there's probably a couple of different ways you can use that pivot to display your data there. So just gotta learn a little bit more, play around with that a little bit. And Nana,
Yeah.
you and your dad and your mom, all of y'all are smart, so you'll get it figured out.
Okay.
Good job, Afua. Thank you for sharing that and for branching out into uh, a little bit more depth from what you had last time. Great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I did not either, Devin. So that was really good. Like that, she made some great progress from Saturday with that one. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. One thing I want to do quickly, because we didn't do this last time. Can we get a photo? Can everybody cut their cameras on for like 10 seconds and I get a photo? Just so that we can have like some documentation for our camp. I'm gonna turn mine on too, don't laugh. And we'll get a quick screenshot of everybody. Do you all see me? Oh, I'm up there. Okay, I see myself. All right, we got everybody. Okay, let me
We see you,
grab.
Dr. Tony.
All right, let me grab a screenshot real quick. Ready? Great. Love it. Excellent. All right, so we'll close out here. Our next meetup is going to be on Saturday at 11 a.m. And I will send out notes from tonight. I got some information about the different teams. And as I get time to maybe go back and grab a little bit more stuff, we'll do that. Laura's gonna do the icebreaker. She has an icebreaker. She's gonna do that on Saturday. And you should have an email that tells you, gives you the presentation from the other day. This one is not that much different, so I probably won't send out anything because it's pretty much the same thing as what we did on Saturday. But see you on Saturday at 11. I actually won't be here. I'll probably be on a plane at that time. If for some reason I'm able to log in, I will log in. But John and Taylor and others will be here to kind of lead and guide you. You're doing great. Just keep going down this road. And then Saturday, you're going to do the same thing you did with that data set. You pulled it into Excel. You have it in Excel, but you're going to do that in Python. So you're going to dive further into Python. All right. Great job, everyone. Thank you for staying a little late tonight, and we'll see you on Saturday. Great job. Give yourselves a round of applause and a big hug. Great job.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good
Good
night.
night.